In a peaceful traditional African village, surrounded by lush green trees and huts, the respected chief called all the villagers to the center. He announced a woodcutting contest that would last 3 days, from Monday to Wednesday. Whoever cut the most wood would win a bull. Ben, a young man full of energy and strength, laughed confidently as he looked at John. John, an older man, calm, wise, and full of experience, simply stood quietly holding his wooden-handled axe, composed and ready. From sunrise on Monday, Ben worked without rest. He chopped non-stop, sweat dripping from his face as wood chips flew everywhere. He believed victory belonged to the hardest worker. Nearby, under a large tree, John would pause from time to time. He would sit down calmly, take out his sharpening stone, and carefully run it along the metal edge of his axe. Again and again, he sharpened his blade until it was razor-sharp before going back to work. Ben watched him in disbelief, wondering why anyone would waste time sitting when there was wood to cut. On Wednesday evening, the 3 days came to an end. The villagers gathered around 2 piles of wood as the chief came forward to count. Ben smiled with confidence, certain he would win. But the crowd gasped. John's pile was much bigger, taller, and neatly stacked with clean, even logs. Ben's pile was smaller, scattered, and full of uneven, poorly cut pieces. The chief raised John's hand and declared John the winner. Ben was shocked and confused. How was it possible? Still confused, Ben walked up to John and asked how he had won when he seemed to work less. John smiled warmly and held up his axe. The wooden handle was worn from years of use, but the metal blade was gleaming, polished and razor-sharp in the golden sunlight. Ben looked down at his own axe. Its edge was dull, chipped, and ruined from 3 days of endless chopping without care. In that moment, Ben finally learned his lesson. He stared at his dull axe and understood exactly why he had lost. He had worked very hard without stopping, and because of that, his axe had become blunt and useless. John placed a hand on his shoulder and said, "My son, working harder is not always the answer. Sometimes you must stop, learn, improve, and prepare. I did not just cut wood. I took time to sharpen the tool that cuts the wood. Are you working hard, or working smart?"